Reddit by Reddit recap. Girls, what is the most awkward thing a guy has ever said to you? Guy friend was stroking my arm at a bar. I was drunk and didn't mind cause it kinda felt nice, even though it seemed weird. After some time, he gets a quizzical look and says, "Whoa, your skin is so soft, despite the muscles underneath. You have very nice muscles, just tender enough. If we were ever in one of those situations where we had to resort to cannibalism to survive, I'd definitely eat you first. I might not even wait until it became necessary for survival. I might just eat you first anyway." Went on a date with a guy who then states he had turned down the Olympics in MMA because of school. Not only is MMA not an Olympic sport, but he wasn't even in shape. Date went horrible. I get to my house and promptly ignore his incessant texts until I can figure out a polite way to turn him down. Next day, he sends me the 50th text of the hour and this one says, "This makes you my girlfriend, right? Number. Never. Please no." Edit. He turned down the Olympics for school. He stated he was accepted into Olympics for MMA as the sport. He did not turn down the Olympics for MMA. Edited for clarity. Edit 2. It could help that he had said this during the Winter Olympics. I needed to get a form out of our manager's desk, which he was sitting at and wouldn't move. So I went around him and was stuck between him and the wall. Then he said, "Looks like you're stuck between a rock and me." I noped the hell out of there as fast as I could. Beat red. I bartend and have had many creepy comments over the years. My two most memorable. 1. A customer who was probably near my father's age asked how much I weigh. Normally I'm pretty quick with these things, but this caught me off guard, so instead of a normal sassy answer I was just slack-jawed and told him probably about 140 pounds. He went on about how he usually only likes girls that are under 120 pounds. But he still found me attractive. Not worded that nicely. Hard pass on that. 2. A customer at the bar was making generic conversation and then went down a dark path. He told me he was a geneticist and that I should have his children because I was an ideal mate. He got more and more aggressive, inquiring as to my reproductive plans and demanding I make up my mind. He was physically removed from the premises and told not to come back. This is all on mobile. Apologies for any typos. Speaking as a guy here. My crush in high school invited me over after school to help her with her homework. I thought she was being sexual about it. Hormones. And straight up blurted out, "Your parents wouldn't mind if I slept over?" This was in front of her friends, and needless to say, I did not come over that day to help her with her homework. I was in a CVS one time, picking up some tampons and casually grabbing any other essentials. As I was strolling through the candy aisle, a man in his maybe late 50s looks at the tampons and says, "Oh, you enjoy sticking things in ya?" I pretended I didn't hear him, so he just repeats it very loudly. I paid and got out of there ASAP. Old dude creeped me out. This was a friend of mine. We were at a concert together, and some guys came over afterwards. They were pretty drunk, and one in particular kept hitting on her. She tried to ignore it, but he was persistent. Eventually he asked her if she'd like to come back to his place, to which she explained, "I have a boyfriend. His name is Frank." Without missing a beat, he said, "Then can I be frank with you? 'Cause you're smoking." Didn't work, but we had a great laugh. For work I had to live for a couple months in a house with 3 guys I didn't know. They all had girlfriends back home. During one of the first nights when we were all still getting to know each other, we stayed up late drinking and chatting. No hint of sexual tension or flirtation. Then 2 went to bed and I continued talking to the 3rd as we were having a conversation. I am mid-sentence when he interrupts me and says, "So I'm not going to cheat on my girlfriend." Pause. But cuddling wouldn't be out of the question. I was so taken aback and confused that after a brief moment of awkward silence I just picked right back up where I was in my story. "You know, you'd do really well in the kind of job where you had to work for tips. Well, this is odd, but maybe he's trying to be nice. Try and defuse the situation with small talk. What, like a waitress? Yeah, I used to do that for a while actually. Number. Intense staring where you really had to work for them." Edit. To mention that this was an office co-worker and that I don't know my grammar. I'm not sure how awkward this is, but it sure felt awkward at the time. My junior year of high school, I had a US history class with this guy I had had a class with once, but with whom I wasn't really friends. The very first day, I take an empty seat a little ways in front of him. About halfway through class, he leaned forward and got my attention to ask if I was a lesbian. I gave him a confused look and he went on, saying 1 in every 10 girls is a lesbian, and there are 10 girls in this class. You have the shortest hair, so I figured it was you. Kind of a compilation. I have fallen for the I'm going to kill myself. Can you come talk to me? Thing 3 times. It's ridiculous. The first guy was so committed to it that he started crying, and then put his hand down my pants. Now whenever a man tells me that, one of the first things I do is inform them that it's my duty to get them medical help if they are being honest. It sucks, but goddamn I'm gullible. Edit for clarification, I am not, and was not looking for anyone to be with. Happily married. Also, the reason I mentioned the whole whenever a man tells me that is really just because no women have come to me about being suicidal. I could have just said person. I just wasn't thinking anything of it. Not me, but I was with my female co-worker when a customer told her you have a really nice turd cutter. Okay, I'm a guy, but I know for a fact I've done some really awkward shit. Once I was walking down the hall and a girl looks at me and says, "Hey, you bad customer service, you have really big feet." To which I then replied, the only one to ever say that to me before was my mom. I continued walking and didn't look back. "You got a fetus in you?" Followed by, "Damn, congrats." I lightly turned down a guy who was hitting on me because I had a boyfriend. He proceeded to ask me if I showered for my boyfriend. I went bouldering with some guys I knew, and one said, "Thanks for wearing such tight clothing so it's easier to picture you naked." Not a girl, but a friend of mine, with very large boobs, once was approached by a guy at a party. He said while staring at her boobs, "I'm a mammal," and left. A guy on Tinder once asked me to sing to his penis. Edit. I didn't do it. Guys, never met up with him. Guess I'm just too ashamed of my singing ability. I kind of have a dad vibe going, and lots of girls are really into the fucked up ones anyway, and those are the fun ones. No thank you. Walking through the woods with a neighborhood boy when we were about 14. Suddenly he smiled at me and said, "You know I could rape you right now." Then grabbed me, laughed, and kept walking. Never went anywhere alone with him again. Look like my first baby mama. Have you ever had a penis inside you? Guy testing the emissions on my car. My sophomore year in high school, I was walking into class and one of the students already sitting down asked me as I was walking to my desk, "Let me into your soul. What would you do if you had a penis?" I never had a real back and forth conversation with this guy before he asked me this. Didn't realize that he wanted to know what I'd potentially do to his penis until he texted me days later asking me to fuck. I mean, you're not really pretty enough to date, but if you wanna have sex, I'm down. Not only did I have a boyfriend, but he came up to me at a bar that I was at with my boyfriend. On my 20th birthday, a middle-aged man approached my sister and I at the bar and said he was feeling very into sisters, while our father was sitting beside us. The familial cringe-fest was the best present possible. Guy 1, your hair is prettier than your face. Guy 2, you are the gap between my ballsack and my anus. You hold me together. Without you, my insides would fall out. Is okay Cupid opener was, I'll tie you up and fuck you all over my house, even where I keep the dog food. To make matters worse, his next message proceeded to blame the message on his roommate who had his phone last night. Edit. To clarify, the guy continued to solicit a one-night stand after this exchange, hence why I doubt his roommate explanation. Not the girl but the guy in this situation. I just received a blowjob from an ex I was trying to get back together with. After said blowjob, I say wow, someone's been practicing. Instant regret. I was in the middle of setting up for my final at college and a guy who had been harassing me all semester came in and wouldn't stop talking to me and asked for my number. All while my teacher was standing there awkwardly. He was ignoring my wishes to be left alone and asking him to leave until I gave him my number. I finally gave him a fake one which he asked, "Can you repeat that number to me? I usually get fake ones." I had a date with a guy that was set up by friends. Minutes after we ordered food he rubbed his thighs and told me that he loves fucking fat chicks because they have fat pussies. He said fucking thin girls is like throwing a wiener down a hallway. I waddled my fat ass right the fuck out of that restaurant. I had a man come up to me and tell me that I needed to wear a better bra because my girls were all over the place. I was walking on the seawall in Vancouver and wearing a sports bra. He then said that he could tell me things like this because he was gay and it is his duty to reprimand women that don't dress right. He tried to hug me. Best comment of the day. At my work, no whistling Bohemian Rhapsody, no whistling We Will Rock You, no whistling Another One Bites the Dust, no whistling. I kept whistling the USSR anthem and some other anthem that I can't remember the name. No humming. They learned quickly. No tapping songs on surfaces. No writing hidden profanities on food tickets. Things like SHIT made out of different words. I was proud of that. No phones in the workplace. No radios. No personal speakers. No freezing sweet bars. Frozen Mars were pretty good. No combining coffee and hot chocolate for customers. I mean, really, they cold sold it as a chocochino, but no. And finally, all glasses must be for actual use, not joke ones. Jokes on them. Now I need glasses cause of my joke ones.